Hello and welcome to Algorithm Integrity Matters. Insights for financial services leaders who want to enhance fairness and accuracy in their use of data, algorithms, and AI. I'm your host, Yusuf Mullah. This article was published in January 2025. It's titled Algorithm Reviews, Public versus Private Reports. And the background to this is that there's quite a bit of discussion around public reporting of AI audit reports. And just wanted to clarify, I guess, some of what that meant because there is already anxiety around this particular topic. So here we go. If you've encountered the view that AI audit reports need to be made public and you're responsible for an algorithmic system, you might feel a bit uneasy. However, for most readers of this article, most listeners of this episode, there's no need to be overly concerned. This article explains why you shouldn't be too worried and how to redirect the energy misspent on anxiety. Context matters. AI and algorithm audit guidelines vary widely and are not universally applicable. We discussed this in a previous article, outlining how the appropriateness of audit guidance depends on your circumstances. Here are some further specifics to explain what this notion of public audit reporting may mean for your situation. Firstly, where this comes from. Public financial statement audit reports are often cited in the context of AI audits. Here's some background information on financial audits that will help in understanding the potential direction that AI audits may take. The historical context. Public financial audit reporting emerged in the early 20th century, driven by the need for transparency and investor protection. Applicability. Public reporting typically applies to publicly traded companies and certain large private entities. Exemptions. Small businesses and most private companies are often exempt from public reporting of their financial audits, that is. And time lapse. The current financial audit regime developed over decades, responding to changing governance requirements and some corporate scandals. AI audit reporting may follow a similar path. It will probably happen faster, but it is reasonable to assume that it won't happen overnight. Then we have emerging legislation. While public reporting isn't universally required, recent legislation shows some signs of moves in that direction. The EU AI Act has mandatory audit expectations with potential public reporting. The Colorado Actus Act requires insurance companies to consider external data or algorithms and file annual reports with the state. These signal a growing trend towards transparency. The EU AI Act primarily targets high-risk applications in terms of audit requirements, and the Actus Act requires annual returns, but not necessarily public audit reports. And then let's talk about the distinction in terminology, so audit versus review. And again, we explored this topic in depth in a previous article, but here are the key points from there that are relevant to our discussion. An audit is a specific, formal process typically conducted by an independent external party. It follows a defined methodology. The result is a report that may be used for compliance or certification purposes. An audit can be considered a type of review, but there are other types of reviews too. Those produce documents or reports for internal use. Other reviews, that is, produce documents or reports for internal use, identifying what's working and what needs to be addressed. And this distinction is important because the debate around public reporting relates to formal audits, not other types of reviews. Understanding this should alleviate some anxiety about public reporting. If you're conducting internal reviews of your AI systems, these are likely not the audits discussed in the context of public disclosure debates. Transparency demands mainly target formal independent audits and primarily for high-risk AI applications. Let's talk about when public reports might be necessary. So the need for public report will likely be driven by several factors, including legislation. Specific laws may require public disclosure of the results of certain algorithm audits, like the EU AI Act. And then transparency. your organization may choose to be transparent as part of its ethical or public relations strategy. However, this won't apply to all reviews. And when public reporting is required, the level of detail in a public report is likely to differ from an internal review report. This is because some information needs to remain confidential. Not all aspects of a review need to be reported on publicly. Some findings may not be appropriate for public disclosure. And many reviews are conducted to proactively address issues. For example, if you commission a review of your algorithmic fraud system to check for potential bias, you might choose to publicly share some information, but you won't disclose all the details. For example, how you check for fraud may need to remain hidden, or it may be easier for fraudsters to figure out how to bypass the checks. Here's a quick note. For high-risk AI systems that fall under the EU AI Act, certain information may need to be registered in the EU database, and that includes a description of the system, its intended purpose, and information about the provider. And then let's talk about preparation for potential public reporting. Even if your organization isn't currently required to publish AI audit reports, it's wise to be prepared. Here are 3 things you can consider now. Number 1, ethical AI practices. You are likely already implementing AI governance practices. If not, now is a good time to start. This type of commitment will position you well for any future reporting requirements. Number 2, regular reviews. Conduct periodic assessments for fairness, accuracy, security, privacy, and other risk areas. These help you to identify issues to resolve early. Even if the issues are not complicated, they can take time to fix. And then number 3, reporting strategy. Consider the information you would be comfortable sharing publicly if required. A proactive approach can help you prepare for potential future reporting requirements with safeguards, for example, to maintain confidentiality. And lastly, where to from here? The potential for public AI audit reports shouldn't be a source of anxiety. Instead, view it as an opportunity to strengthen your AI governance practices. While there's a growing trend towards transparency in algorithmic decision-making, especially in the public sector, the need for public reports on algorithm integrity reviews is not universal. However, banks and insurance companies using high-risk AI systems, as defined by the EU AI Act, may be subject to specific requirements. And further public reporting requirements may emerge as regulators gain more experience in overseeing these systems. So, being prepared is important, and this includes identifying and mitigating risks before they become issues. By conducting regular, thorough reviews of your algorithmic systems, you can ensure their integrity, fairness, and reliability. That's the end of the article. Thanks for listening.